This is your Senior Moment Update. My name is Patrick Campbell. I'm the Senior Planning Manager for Mass Care Sheltering from Montgomery County, Maryland. One of the key things I want to talk to you today about is disaster preparedness. We're getting headed towards hurricane season. Typically we get a lot of our floods and heavier wind events. And when we think about these big storms, sometimes we think of the more dramatic end of the storm. But the truth is, the way most of us are affected is something as simple as a power outage. So a story I'm going to tell you real quickly is, my parents were affected by Superstorm Sandy, or sometimes called Hurricane Sandy. They live way, way inland, nowhere where it should have affected them. In fact, they were told it wasn't going to affect them. But severe winds took out the power infrastructure, shut down the roads for a prolonged period of time. So my mom, who suffers from diabetes and a few other typical senior kind of health issues, was impacted badly. She didn't have enough medication to get her through it. There was no power. So during the first few days it was hot, during the last few days it was cold, and she didn't refuel her car up. I always say that. I always like these stories because it's going to lead me into what I want you to do to be better prepared than my mom was. We ended up being able to go in there and help her and get her up to date, but it's not easy when a storm hits. In fact, we weren't initially able to get in there to help her because roads were shut down. But what can you do? Storms coming, it happens all the time, thunderstorms, windstorms. I always say make sure your car's fuel is almost 3/4 full. It's a real simple thing. You can charge your cell phone, you can check the news. It's very basic. Other things you want to consider. So like I told you, mom was diabetic. Making sure you have enough food you can prepare that doesn't require heating or cooling. When a storm hits, those simple things go out. We find out more and more as populations get density. We know our grocery stores, we know our fuel is going to run out even in short periods of time because our grocery stores restock up every few days. So being prepared before the storm makes a difference. Now you'd say, okay, I did all that. This power went out for a long time. What will my county do for me in these types of circumstances? Well, if we did have a prolonged power outage or flooding or anything like that, what typically we're going to do in the county is we're going to have heating or cooling stations. We're usually going to host those at your neighborhood recreation centers and your libraries. Great partners. During big storms, they simply extend their hours so you have a place to go. So even if it's just a hot day and you know that your air conditioner just went out, maintenance guy is going to be in a couple days, you could utilize our libraries or rec centers for cooling. Now, if it's something where our power's out, food's in danger, you can't get to food because typically a lot of us have electric stoves. Electric stoves mean no power, means no cooking. We know that without electric, our food starts to go bad. And if we have cordless phones in our home, it also means they won't work in a storm as well. So considering these simple things, something really basic makes us feel fragile. So what you can do, or what we in the county will do, is we'll often open a shelter. A shelter consists of something very basic. We open up essentially a gym area in a rec center or a school. We provide cots, we provide food, and things like that. But what you probably didn't hear I didn't say medication. Now, medication always becomes a bigger challenge. And so another thing I always recommend as we're heading into our storm season is simply just make sure that your prescriptions are up to date, that you have a prescription ready to go, and if we know a storm's coming, make sure you get that prescription filled so you have enough to get you through the storm. These are simple things you can do to be as ready as possible during a storm, and that are kind of unique to seniors. Thank you very much for your time. This is your Senior Moment Update.